So Fraser Wilson. So this is who you are. Okay. You have currently about 2 million subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that was higher a little while back. Because
No, that's gone up. That's
has it
always
really?
gone up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 million subs on YouTube.
Yep.
And you currently have 1.4 million on Instagram.
Mhm.
But I remember that
was
used to be,
higher.
yeah.
That was
so,
at 2, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it once at 1.8, and that was when you were actively posting.
Mhm.
You have 500,000 on TikTok.
Yep. That one's remained.
And you have about 400,000 on Facebook.
Yep.
So you add all that up, that's like 4 to 4.5 million audience space across these 4 different platforms. And for context, I keep saying you used to have this many followers is, for the people that don't know, the last time you posted was in 2022, right? On all platforms, am I right? Yep. Yeah, so about May or April 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go dwelling on why you decided to stop later on in that section, but this is just for context for the audience on who you are. So
Gotcha.
You're what we call a prime example of YouTube and content success. This is how like our staff member sees you. This is how I saw you. But I see you a little differently because you've been a member at Training Day Gym since like 2013. We're a gym that started in Burwood, Melbourne, Victoria.
Yeah.
And
by yourself?
By myself, yes. So at that time, it started off being an old beat up squash court, and I started up with barely any money. And then Fraser was one of the members that signed up initially at the gym.
Pretty recently after it opened, yeah.
Yeah. So it was, like 50 members at the time.
Yep.
And 12 years later, we've grown to 3 pretty decent sized clubs across Melbourne. And we're like very well rated, pretty well known in the local industry. And we've made some sort of a name for ourselves. I guess you can call it some sort of a local success. And then Fraser is now a part of Training Day, which we'll dwell into later.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I've built a physical business over the past 12 years. Fraser's built himself a personal brand on the content space for the past 10, 12 years.
2 sides of a different coin.
Yes. And it'll be cool that because we're doing this together.
Yeah.
It's, brick and mortar physical business and sort of new age business.
Yeah. We bring our different perspectives to the table on topics that affect everyone and they're universal, but yeah, we're coming at it from a completely different scope.
And I'm much more of that whole traditional structured management business type, where Fraser's is a much more creative. This is how the new age is type. And we have our similarities because we obviously both have determination to build something.
Yep.
I think it's really good for the audience to see the similarities, what remain unchanged and what's different if you want to do something on the content space versus traditional business space, right?
Yeah.
I had a look at your top 5 most views, video with most views, okay? Your 10-minute home ab workout video is 35 million views as of now. 10 minutes perfect abs workout with no equipment, that one's 23 million views. 10-minute body weight video workout, 22 million views. 10-minute morning workout, 20 million views. And a 15-minute arm workout with dumbbells, 11 million views. Combine all that up together with all your other videos, you have a total of 439 million views on YouTube. And you've got about 1,800 posts on Instagram, and you posted about 370 odd videos on YouTube.
Probably more.
Probably more now.
There's a lot unlisted and
private. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's probably closer to 600.
Wow. Okay.
Or 500.
Okay.
500.
So YouTube says you've got 372 videos.
But on the back end, my end, yeah. I've probably
unlisted
got
ones?
Probably got 550, maybe 600. I have to have a look. But
okay. So about 60% made the cut.
Yeah. Over time, I've been like, nah, that video wasn't it. It's
right.
gone.
Okay. So
especially the early days.
Right. This gives the viewer the context of who you are.
Yeah.
So this is nothing to sneeze at. This is definitely this is what people describe as YouTube success. And you obviously do a lot of fitness coaching as well because of the platform that you built, and the content that you created is all about fitness and training. And this, by the way, it's more about your success in the business and content side. I'm not going to dwell in too much on the fitness side because you have your own channel for that, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
So, but you also created a fitness coaching business, and obviously somebody with a following like that, you'd have sponsorships, and you've worked with some companies. Can I name some of the companies you work with?
Yeah, for sure.
So you've worked with Gymshark, you've worked with One Up Nutrition, you've worked with Elite 11 as well, I believe.
Dude, yeah, that was hilarious. I was probably one of the first people that they got around,
Yeah.
and they were nothing like they are today. Like,
Right.
I don't know for the rest of the world, but in Melbourne, they're massive.
I remember
See 'em everywhere.
I remember seeing you wearing their stuff, and that's how I
Yeah.
discovered the brand. At the moment, you do a bit of other consulting work, but you are here because you have a connection and a partnership now with Training Day, okay, which we'll delve into a little bit later. So that, ladies and gents, it's a little bit about Fraser and who he is.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Hype me up. Let's go. I don't like
You can't. Yeah, it's a bit hard for you to talk about yourself like that.
It's like sitting there and having a room of people sing happy birthday.
Yeah. So for more of that context on people, I see Fraser as that 16-year-old kid at the gym. And then I see you sometimes on Instagram like, oh, he's got 10,000 followers. Oh, he's got 100,000 followers.
Now he's got 100. Now
He's got 1 million followers.
Yeah.
So I discovered this throughout because you were just coming to the gym every day.
Yeah.
I see you like I see another member, and I saw you when you were just starting up. But I think when I realized how big of a deal you were is when staff members who we've hired started to work here and they say they knew Fraser Wilson. Fraser comes here?
Yeah, right.
I thought, you know Fraser? Everyone knows Fraser.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
that's when I realized, wow, Fraser's really made a name for himself. And then I ask you, and you tell me that you get recognized in public. It's when I realized that, wow. Okay, we've got a bit of a celebrity here under our roof.
In the making, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you now, what is like with your level of fame, somebody with 300 million views on YouTube and 4 million audience, what is it like going out in public for you? So do you get recognized in public when you go out?
Well, I'll take it back. So in you saying that, are you starting to get recognized in public, or are these people at the gym are starting to understand who he is? I do remember the first time I ever got recognized in public, it was at my local supermarket. I was just going there to pick up like some chicken or something. Okay. And then all of a sudden this kid, like I noticed he was like darting his eyes at me, like burning a hole in the back of my head. And he came up and he goes, "Are you Fraser?" And I was like, yeah. He's like, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram." I was like, "What the fuck? What the hell is going on here, dude?" And I reckon I had like maybe 15,000 followers on
already, so
on
they were
Instagram
recognizing.
at that point.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I had that. Most of my audience is in America already.
Right.
But just having that like crossover of all right, here's like reality and here's, you know, how you connect with people online was really like world shattering. I was like, what the hell?
That was the first time. So you remember that very vividly because
he's like, "I love your videos." Like, "Oh, that's awesome." And I was like,
and how did that feel? Was that a pleasant
feeling? It was really
feeling?
good. It was more of like shock. It was a state of shock, I believe. Because I feel like I was going through the whole time kind of helping, like with the aim of helping people. And then you see it translated in the real world. Like here's just face to face, like a person. It's like.
And what was he? What age was he like?
Oh, he was probably 16, I reckon, maybe 16, 17.
So it was like a couple of years. It was a typical
only
your
a couple
demographic.
years younger than me. Like I'm probably 20 at this time, maybe 19, 20.
And that was the audience you were targeting. That's who you made your content for.
Yeah, I wasn't really. I was making audience targeting like an audience of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd gotten a head start in the fitness industry at least, or from that side of things. And a lot of people I even saw in the gym who were my age or a little bit older were kind of a little bit behind on what I was doing. But that was the first time I encountered anyone who knew who I was without me knowing them first. And it's kind of like a little bit of a mind-shattering thing when you run into so many people that know who you are, but you have no idea who they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like they don't meet you, they meet like an idea of who they think you are.
Right.
And I like it to some degree, but I think at some point it becomes like you're not built for it.
So that's the first time that you got recognized.
Yeah.
All right. But did this just ramp up sort of linearly
as I went on? Yeah. And eventually I think I knew for a fact that every time I would go anywhere busy, for example, Chadstone, which is the largest shopping center in our country, good chance that I was going to get stopped or recognized.
What give me if you're walking around, somebody else sees you, you know, what's the usual encounter like?
It's nothing crazy. It's just like a stop, hello, like, "Oh my God, are you whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah." So eventually you just go like, "Fuck, like I just want to be able to walk around." But you hate, it's like such a annoying like little tug of war because you're like, I'm so grateful for these people and I want to help them, but also like to some degree I want to just be able to operate, like go out to lunch or go out to eat with my girlfriend and not be worried about like people looking.
Like what's the most frustrating? Okay, I think a lot of people watching, especially the younger ones who aspire to be like you, they probably look at the good side of it and be like, "Yeah, of course I see the good side of it." But give us like an example of something that was frustrating That like not without obviously with no disrespect to the person that annoyed you, but like
I don't think there's never been a one single encounter, but for someone who likes to live a pretty private life,
yes,
it becomes it is literally that, and I'm coming at this from a glimpse of micro fame, as well. So I'm not on the levels of the biggest YouTubers in the world where they can't go out. They actually can't go out. If they go out, they're going out with a reason to like get some content or like run into a bunch of kids or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
For example, like Logan Paul would go out to a shopping mall because he knows he'd cause like havoc and a bunch of kids would like chase him around. And then there's content. But for me, I'm going out, I may be stumbling upon like one person or a few people here and there. So it's really just like the idea that I want to be able to kind of live privately, if that makes sense. Not have to worry like I'm going out, is someone looking at me because they know me or are they just looking at me for another reason? So you kind of gets in your own head about things. So there's nothing that's like actually happened, but it was more like, and it probably adds salt to that wound of me being like, I don't particularly enjoy this because it's not that frequent and
you're a private person,
nothing's
right?
happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you feel bad. You feel kind of bad about it. You're like, geez, I don't want to keep like running into people. But also it's not happening frequently enough and nothing's really like happened. I can't say I got in a fight or I can't say someone was rude. Everyone's pretty damn pleasant. But it's like you just want to be able to like, operate with anyone having preconceived notions about who you are. You just want to meet people and they meet you for who you are as opposed to who they think you are, if that makes sense. It gets frustrating when you meet people like and they shake your hand and you already know like immediately like this guy knows who I am or at least has an idea of who I am. But I have no idea who they are. It's like you're on this level and I never thought I was above anyone, if that makes sense, but they put you there.
Yeah.
They put you there and you go like, I just want to like meet you. Like, what's your name? Like, hey, what's going on?
I think that explains me knowing you because you're a private person. I don't know if people can tell over content. They probably can't. They probably just think that everybody's on cameras. I'm personally a pretty introverted person when it comes to like social life. You are, if anything, more introverted when it comes to like social life. Yeah. So when I realized that was a big shock for me. I was like, wow, I thought Fraser's going to be just so flamboyant and
out there
outgoing.
Yeah.
So that I can imagine I just want to come. I just want to get a drink. I just want to go buy something.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to blend in. All right. So that's a bit of a practical example of what it's like you walking around. So you'll pretty much get recognized anytime in public if there's a lot of people, not by everyone, but by someone.
Yeah, I think eventually at one stage where it was really snowballing, I knew for a fact that if I went out, I would run into someone.
And has there been anything negative?
No, that's the problem. Like, that's why I feel like I come back and I'm like, you've been a little bit, but also you don't have anyone to talk about this because no one else is going through this. So I would kind of try and outlay this to my partner. And she just doesn't like get it because I'm like, anyone else is like, what are you like, what's wrong with that? Yeah, they think it's a good thing. But I'm thinking, and me, like I like to come at things more philosophically and I'm a big thinker. I like to think things through. And so talking to someone is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
But then you go like, and I'm always thinking like, all right, the Justin Biebers of the world, how the hell are they living? Like, how are they operating? Because me right now, I'm like a few people here and there. And I'm like, I would much rather just like be able to like not have that, if that makes sense.
Honestly, like we can say all of this stuff. Most people are going to look at this and be like, oh, what a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. That's what annoys you though, isn't it? Yeah. It's like there is, listen, man, like the funny thing is, I think we'll get onto later that the key thing is that you didn't do it for that.
No, I never wanted that, if that makes sense.
But a lot
I never aimed to get like famous. I actually would, I feel like a lot of people say this who do get famous. Like, would you rather be like run a business or be famous? I feel like you'd want to run a business like 100% of the time.
But these days, people want to be famous.
Look at what happens to famous people though.
Yeah, this is what...
There's like a good percentage of famous people that just go like nuts.
But this
like is Disney stars that grow up and turn into drug addicts and stuff.
Yeah, but they don't look at it that way. All the young kids looking at it be like, fame is just good. Whether attention will be good or bad attention, I don't care. It's just attention is good.
Yeah.
So that's how they're looking at it. I disagree with that. I wholeheartedly don't like it. But you are in that sort of spotlight and people will think that, hey, they think that's you are who they want to be. But the funny thing is you never wanted to be this. I just wanted to make good content and help people.
That's it. Yeah. My whole aim was helping people.
And wouldn't you say that a lot of people become famous because of that?
Yeah.
But then people chase the view, but not the climb. The view is just, okay, this is a bonus, but I never did it for this, to be fair. I did it just to help people. Okay. So Give us another idea. There's another question that I think people are just dying to know. They think somebody like you will just be making billions of dollars and money raining on your
trillions.
head. Trillions. And you don't have to worry. Trillions. And you're set for generations.
Yeah.
And Fraser is just retired, just doing nothing, and everything's easy for you. That's the what I would think the common thought is. And the people that I've encountered, it feels like to me, I wouldn't say they're using these words, but in their head they think that when you become famous on a YouTuber, things just come to you. Okay?
Yeah.
So without being rude and just asking you how much money that you make, I want to give people like a context of what it's like in Australia. So I just quick Google search, so don't quote me on these numbers, but based on what I can find in Google, last year Australian median income. So most people in Australia make around $67,000 a year. Okay, and the top 10% make about $170,000.
Is this just across all ages?
Yeah, I think this is just like a rough top 10%. I didn't read into the details. And the top 5% make like 300,000 plus. Okay. So could you, with that scale being said, could you, without, I don't know how to do this without like exposing where income is.
I'll be fine. Well, let me give you a background. Okay. Yes. So from that scale, so the top, what did you say?
Top 5%.
Top 5% is earning.
Is like 300,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So from like a YouTube perspective, all right. So I started in 2016, realistically a lot earlier. Like I was filming things. I was creating content that just shouldn't have seen the light of day. It was just experimental. I remember getting my first AdSense revenue. So for those of you who don't know, YouTube pays out, if you make enough views, if you meet a certain criteria, every month it will pay you out what is called AdSense. And AdSense it kind of works out to be $1 to $10 per 1,000 views, which equates to $1,000 to $10,000 per million views.
1,000 to 10,000 per million
views.
It
all depends on your certain content. Like
let's say, varies that much.
So from someone who's making like business content or something like that can charge more because the ads are people who are selling courses, people who are selling this. They're much more, competitive ads. And so the advertisers have to pay more, hence the person who's making the content gets paid a little bit more. But my first AdSense payment was, I think, like 23 cents. And this was after working already for like 4 months, like putting in 4 months of effort into YouTube.
23 cents.
A month. In 1 month. That was the first time I qualified for AdSense. And that was probably like my proudest moment ever.
That was when?
2016. I'm not sure on the year.
So you technically got paid.
It was probably it was a good like 3 to 4 months after kind of getting into
First time you got paid.
First time I got paid. And I was like stoked about that. I was like, for some reason they sent me a letter about it. It was like a check in the mail. So it was a check for 26 cents. And so I opened it. I was like, this is sick. Like, this is amazing. Wow. Anyway, fast forward. If we look at the scale, for someone of my size, so let's say I'm getting a good amount of views per month, there'd be very unlikely that anyone's getting that much views and not in the bracket of the highest earners in Australia, if that makes sense.
And say, when we say so top 5%?
More
like, than top 5%?
Yeah, like clearing that. Yeah, easy.
And that's just from YouTube?
That's just from YouTube, likely, yeah.
So based on the numbers that I've said, during your peak of when you were doing that, if somebody with a similar following to you, so if some kid is looking at this and be like, I want 300 odd million views on my channel and I want 4 million subscribers, what they're saying is that I would want to be making over $300,000, $400,000 a year in Australia equivalent.
Yeah.
Would you say that's a good, because I can just see that these kids will be pitching this to their parents and be like, oh, I want to pursue this as a career. This doesn't, you become a doctor, people know how much money you'll be making. And they're probably on $300,000 as a general practitioner. But YouTuber is, so can this be, for somebody that's done it and made it and really knows industry, can this be something that parents can look at and be like, okay, so if my kid is aiming to be this,
of course,
that will be the income that they could potentially be making.
Well, yeah, it could be way more than that. There's YouTubers that are making tens of $1 millions a day. Like, well, not a day probably, but like a month, a week. Like Mr. Beast is probably making an absolute ridiculous amount of money.
But you're a relatable Australian, Melbourne,
from Australian, but also I don't think you should ever look at that. I don't think you should come into YouTube thinking financially. I think that's a terrible idea. Unless you are, and then you want to be like an SEO expert and you want to sell courses and stuff, then go do that. Like, but if you're coming at it like my specific category, fitness, I'm trying to help people. Like, I don't really care about the money. The thing that I value the most is the people that comment and go like, this has helped me. Like, I've been doing this for a few months and this has really helped me turn it around. Like that's what I look for. I've never ever looked at the financials, if that makes sense.
That's the why. That's the motivation side of it. Okay, so wrap up this question that people that are viewing, they can look at you at your peak. So when you're getting, I don't know, 20 million views on a video, and if you were posting videos like multiple times a day.
On YouTube, like 3 times a week.
Wow, 3 times a week. But on Instagram,
stuff,
you were doing that. I remember you were posting that so frequently. So somebody like you who was doing that at the time, you can see that this is a 300,000, 400,000, if not more, per year job.
Yeah, but like it won't be for a while, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you break it down, like I think people get this skewed about lawyers and stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So people think lawyers make a killing, but when you factor in how many hours they're working overtime, so you count it up at the end of the year, hourly wage, even though they're making a good income, let's say they're making 100,000, hourly wage, it breaks out, they're actually not making that much. Maybe they're making the same amount as a plumber, but the plumber's just working a lot less. So you need to look at it like that. Like from the get-go, I'm putting in 80-hour weeks.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. We'll get to that. So right now, this is where they think, okay, so he does make that. Gotcha. It is that life that we're glamorous about. So that's the product that they're looking at, they want to buy. We'll talk about the cost of it.
If you wanted to get into YouTube for money, it can be a very lucrative business.
Okay, for context, so that's like if people making $300,000 a year, that's equivalent in Australia at least. You'd have to be if you do a job, you have to be a doctor of some sort to make that in wages. Obviously, if you do your own business, you can make that kind of money. Yep. But that is seriously 5 out of 10 Australians will be making that. That is before taxes and everything. But that's the amount that we were looking at for somebody as successful as you at your peak. Okay, but on top of that though, so that's with YouTube alone. Okay, but you're also at that time doing a lot of sponsorships and doing a lot of fitness coaching. Obviously, that's up to you. So people think that, oh, this guy's getting just paid from YouTube. No, it's not just that, is it? It's because you do, for example, you have fitness clients that you have to attend to. That becomes like a job, like any other online coaching job that you provide the services to. And then also you have obligation to meet if somebody else will say, I want to partner up with you, make how many posts? Give us an idea of that. So what's that like? Does that make up a significant portion of your income? Would most YouTubers
I'll break down the whole thing if you want. I'll break down the whole thing. So, okay. The way YouTubers make money is leveraging attention. Mm-hmm. So per view they get or per subscriber they have, they're able to leverage that and promote the products of other brands and other industries to their advertisers or to their audience. So outside of AdSense pays a good amount. It's like a nice little retainer. You can then either leverage your audience and start an own business, which is what a lot of YouTubers do nowadays. They don't want to promote other people's content because they make a lot more money. They get direct access to the source, basically. So instead of promoting Red Bull, I'm going to make Prime, and they make so much more money. There's that. You could it's like any kind of online business. You can leverage into a service. You can leverage into a product. You can leverage into sponsorships. You can leverage into partnerships. Like that's really it. And it depends. Like I also think sponsorships are overrated, like highly overrated. I think if I look back, I probably would have taken on a lot less sponsorships given the example I used before with the lawyers, like how much work you're putting in for the return. It's the same thing. And it kind of diverted my attention from my original goal of helping people to kind of utilizing them to get products across, if that makes sense. And it didn't really bring me any extra fulfillment, if that makes sense, for the money that I was earning. Like, wasn't worth it.
So for you decided the biggest route that you took besides your YouTube thing is you decided to start an online coaching business.
Yeah.
So that you took on clients. So that's something that YouTube can't take away. So that's something that
Well, I guess you want to create something that is its independent thing that can survive on its own as well. So yeah, like whether it's like an email list or something like that. But if you do get big, you want to be able to create an ownership over your audience as opposed to having YouTube say, you know what, you're not the hot kid on the block anymore. So you gotta like get out of here, basically. Like the algorithm just says that's it.
It's almost like somebody make a big chunk of money, I don't know, in crypto, in any business.
Yep.
You invest it somewhere else. You don't just like ride it while it's high and tomorrow it's going to be gone.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you want to put it in a long-term ETF or something. If you make big mega bucks, that's what you could equate it to.
Gotcha. Okay, so there goes Fraser's majority of I just described your professional, I don't know, over a decade of your content career so far. You started off making content, became very successful at it, and then you leveraged off that audience and then did something that you're so passionate about, which is fitness coaching, which is the type of content that you made for on YouTube originally in the first place. Now, why you stopped? So your last post, okay, was May 2022. And if I did a little Google of your name last night, and I couldn't stop laughing because as soon as I typed in Fraser Wilson, there was Fraser Wilson missing, Fraser Wilson alive, Fraser Wilson car accident. People think that, I'm surprised there hasn't been comments. Maybe people haven't seen our stuff and realized, hey, this guy's still alive. So can you just give people an answer? What's gotten you to stop? So with that high that we just described, so what made you stop? What made you stop in 2022? And what was that like for you?
It's kind of difficult because I've had to do a lot of like thinking about it and processing about like why I stopped. And I think so it flashed back to kind of like COVID period. So lockdowns hit in Melbourne. They were pretty bad. Like they went for the longest time ever. Gyms got hit very bad as well. For context,
we were closed for the most part of 2 years.
Like, and it was this seesaw mumbo jumbo that was going on. Like you're open, you'd be open. You'd be like, sweet, we'll go see our friends and stuff. And then they'd be like, you're shut, not seeing your friends again for 6 months, 7 months, whatever. And so I think that played into me just kind of going, I'm just going to jump really hardcore into work and just work like nonstop.
Okay, yeah.
Because I'm like, well, I don't have anything else to do. Like I'm just going to go every day, like wake up, I'd work out, I'd work, I'd, read, and then I'd go to bed. Like that's it. Like I'm not really seeing anyone. I might see my girlfriend every now and then, but like I'm not seeing anyone, if that makes sense.
From 2020 to 2022, that's pretty much what you did.
So it's a good amount of time. And I think that kind of led to some element of burnout, I believe, just from working so damn hard and just kind of prioritizing that. And you want to strike while the iron's hot. And the iron was hot there for like my type of content, for my type of stuff, home workouts and all that stuff. Like people really needed that. So I was going hardcore. I was making sure I didn't miss out on the opportunity. And eventually I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like it felt like golden handcuffs. You know that saying? Golden handcuffs. Like it was so good, but I was like I don't want to do this anymore. If that makes sense.
I want you to like elaborate a bit more on that thought process on how, because it's so, was this thought that, you know what, I'm going to stop in 2 months? Or was it just like, I'm just going to, did you post all the content that you filmed, or was it like, you know what? No.
No, what was content. That like? It was like I'm a very all or nothing guy. I'm either all in or I'm not in. And so I think eventually I was like, and it felt like a long time that I was just like, I kind of miss feeling really excited about my work. I feel like I'm trudging through it, if that makes sense. And it took the element of like enjoyment out of it. So when I first started, I really had a serious kind of enjoyment from making all this stuff. But eventually I feel like I got so good at it that I knew the outcome. So it wasn't exciting anymore.
When was that? So you felt like you cracked the code. When was that?
Yeah, I feel like I was just like, this is it. Like I already know what's going to work.
Was this in between that pandemic period?
Yeah, it was probably 2020, like started 2020, kind of started to feel it.
Right.
And then obviously it kind of was exacerbated by the lockdowns and whatnot. And eventually I was like, I feel like I've done this stuff. I feel like it's done. Like,
but you kept going for 2 years straight from that.
Geez, probably like towards the end of 2020, I was feeling it. So probably pushed on for another 14 months or something like that.
Yeah, so you end up pushing.
Yeah.
So when
not really listening to myself because I knew it, but eventually I was like, I'm just going to stop. Like if I don't stop, like I'm just going to keep going. I know.
You know what this reminds me? This reminds me of that Forrest Gump, how he was running and he inspired a whole nation and he just decides, I'm tired, I'm stopping.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It reminds me of that.
That's literally it, yeah.
Is that actually what happened?
Yeah, I'd say so. I reckon like in my mind I knew like I want to change.
There was no significant event. You didn't get into a car accident. You didn't like what people think you went missing. There's none of that. It's actually just, guys, I've had enough of this.
Basically, I was like, I was craving something new. I feel like I was doing it for a long time. And
wow.
I was craving some novelty as well.
So during that May 2022 period when you stopped, it wasn't like you were slowing down. It was
No.
like you were posting frequently and then just stopped.
I did a month of posting every single day on YouTube, like around that time.
So was it that day that you decided to just stop?
I don't know what day it was. I think, but I think just one, because I'd post every single day, which is hilarious because it's not like I was posting like infrequently. I was posting like.
So what happened to that day that you didn't post? So
I've got no idea. I've tried to like process it and think about it, but I think, like I said, I'm an all or nothing guy, and I think I rationalize as if I don't stop, I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to keep digging myself a deeper and deeper hole.
And you didn't think it was doing you right mentally, like you were really. What was your burnout like? What was so negative about it?
I don't know. You feel a bit lost. You feel like a bit lost, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I'm going to go off script and just go into the time. So give me an idea of during that time of your burnout. Okay, this is like when you were just 2020, I'm sick of this. So for 14 months where you just pushed yourself to do it and you were putting out YouTube content like maybe a one every day. What was that like? What was your day schedule like? Give me an idea of like the worst part of it. Like you were filming in the morning, but just give me a rundown.
I don't think any independent day is bad, if that makes sense.
So give me like a week of, give me the stuff that we're sick of. What was it like that you were so sick of?
Okay, so I'm just sick of doing that stuff, if that makes sense. Like I knew the outcome. It was like I was waking up robotically and doing the stuff that I knew would work, but I'm like sick of it. I already done it. Like I already made the videos. I already did that stuff. I wanted something like new and creative. Like you said at the start of the video, I'm a creative person. I have to do things creatively. Where if I get put in a funnel of like, if I just do this, there's no creativity in it. Like I know this is going to work. It's going to create an outcome that I already know. So it kind of ruined the what I fell in love with this stuff in the first place.
So obviously, the reason why I'm asking this, it's obviously that you still are getting views on YouTube, but obviously you're getting nowhere near the amount of views that you will be getting when you were posting every day.
Yeah, it's definitely going down a bit.
And therefore, that your income wouldn't be growing. Your income, if anything, has reduced from when you were peak doing it, right? So most people will be like, that alone is a motivating factor. So it just shows like you clearly weren't doing it for the money.
No.
Because you're doing it for the money, you still be doing it. So that had no play in it. That was just like, you know what? No, I don't need this.
Yeah, it was there's two, like you're always being pulled somewhere. And the pull of that incentive was less than the pull of stopping. Does that make sense?
And there were no things like, oh man, I'm so used to making this income, and if I pull back on that,
I never really spend like a good chunk of my income anyway. Most of it just gets saved. So the whole time I was working, like I'd probably spend.
You're always living within your means.
Like like
never being a flashy
maybe 4%.
lifestyle.
I didn't grow up like overly in a well-off family or anything like that. So I was never used to just going out and buying clothes or blowing money, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A penny earned was a penny saved in my household. So
for
outside of schooling and food, like nothing was really extras, if that makes sense.
Having an income concern at the time just wasn't a concern for you. One is because you saved a lot of money, and two is like you don't really spend that much anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for you, is like if I'm going to take a pay cut and do something that's more aligned with my creativity, I'm going to choose that.
Well, okay, I could explain it like this because so when I stopped, I wasn't being like, I'm just going to stop.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. I'm done. 5 years, never doing anything again. It was like, I'm going to take a break. And then I just didn't want to go back to doing that. And I spent time just kind of figuring out what I wanted to do, if that makes sense.
Okay. So the thought process
I read this
at the
book.
time. Okay, yeah.
This is how I live life anyway. I don't view life as like a linear path where you need to be continuously kind of pushing or anything like that, because I don't think people live like that anyway. I feel like a lot of people get in jobs that they don't like and then stay there for 30 years until they go, I don't really like this. So that's not where I wanted to end up, even though the job that I was in or what I had created for myself seemed very lucrative and beneficial. And anyone who goes, geez, I'd swap places with that in a heartbeat. I don't feel like you need to just continuously grudge away. I'm the type of person that feels like there's layers and you always want to go towards different directions. So stopping something like that for me is not the worst case scenario. And I also never thought I'm going to just be done. Like I'm going to come back in a month or two And I never really knew how to come back because the people that are there waiting for me are expecting me to come back and do the fitness stuff again. And that's not where my head's at. It's not what I want to do, if that makes sense. Otherwise, then I'm just back on the treadmill. I'm back on the hedonic treadmill, the YouTube hedonic treadmill, just spinning away.
So okay, one part that makes I'm starting to understand is it's not like that in May 2022 you decided to go, I'm stopping.
No,
it was more so like,
not.
you know, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
This is not driving my creativity.
Yeah.
The money, whatever. I'm not doing it for the money anyways. I'm just going to take a break. And I remember you went on a holiday. I'm going to take a break.
Yeah.
And you take a break, but then, you know, days turns into weeks and then turn a month and you go, I don't want to go back into doing this because if I'm doing it, they expect me to go back to do it exactly the way I did it before.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's not so interesting. And that was coincidentally the time when we started talking about training day, wasn't it? So we'll probably then segue onto that. So it's more so that it wasn't that you decided to just, I give up on life and just screw this. It was that I'm going to take a break. And during that time, obviously you were doing other stuff. You were still, I'm guessing, taking on some of your fitness online clients at the time. You just put YouTube on hold. Pretty
much, yeah. So for someone who was on social media every day.
Yeah. Were you on it? Were you still on socials?
No. Well, slowly kind of went away from it. And then eventually, like, I don't have Instagram on my phone, if that makes sense.
What?
Yeah.
You have 1.5 million followers still, and you don't have Instagram on your phone?
No. Well, like, that was the whole point. I wanted to take a break from social media, if that makes sense.
Man, people are going to like get blown away because they will think that you as a content influencer, creator, I'm shocked listening to this because if I'm saying this, you know, I don't have Instagram on my phone. If I said it wouldn't be as a shock to people, but somebody like you saying it, and I think this is why it's so interesting. This channel hopefully goes well because I built a traditional business and I see things very differently to you. And I love the idea of what you're saying, but if I was in your position, I don't think I'd be able to stop.
Yeah, interesting.
So a lot of my success was built that way.
Yeah.
Or so much of whatever you call success, if this is success. A lot of the team that was able to inspire, I built this way.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that people think that we also have a lot of similarities in saying that didn't work out for you for the first 6 years or so, until you got your first paycheck and you were able to persevere through that. And then you're actually stopping somewhere near the top where people would continue to go. But you decided, you know what? No, this is not ticking my fulfillment box anymore.
Like, I would have preferred to take like a 90% pay cut to do to do something else that makes sense.
You know, I think that if this what you just said there is really what people need to hear, because there are going to be people like me who's driven in the sense I'm not a creative person. I'm definitely not a creative person compared to you. And for me, I kind of need that competition. I kind of need that extra next milestone to get myself going. You know, for me, progress is a huge part of my happiness. And I think that's probably shaped throughout my upbringing by certain triggers. But what I find is that a lot of younger kids put that as success on a pedestal. But I understand the price that costs, which is not being able to sleep at night because you're so stressed, not being able to have peace with yourself and always have something on your mind. That's as if this doesn't even describe it. But I understand that, you know, if you're buying a pair of shoes, you understand what that shoe is going to cost. And somebody like me is willing to pay that price. But I feel like a lot of younger people look at this and they aren't willing to pay the price. And they don't know what the price, the cost really is.
Yeah.
But they still want it because that's been put on a pedestal. And the thing is that if they just said, look, I'm going to do something that I'm really use my strength creatively, they'd actually get their own version of success in a better way than pursuing something that's not even them.
Yeah.
So I think that I hope the people that resonate with this can listen to you and be like, oh, yeah, why am I just on this treadmill? I don't even like doing this.
There's a giant like thing about this. YouTube is a bit of a hedonic treadmill. Like you're subjected to the algorithm and what it thinks the viewer wants to see. So if you want to keep up with the times or whatever, you got to make the content that does the trick on the algorithm. Like a lot of the time. And so for me, I was like, yeah, because I want to be like massive and I'm growing and like, why would I stop? But still, I'm like, I would love to like be doing something a little bit different. Something that tickles my creative curiosity. Because it's not like it wasn't. I'm just on the treadmill. And if I just kept going, I'm just going to keep running and not enjoying it. You know what I mean?
The way you're saying it,
sure,
so like
maybe I could have got to 5 million on YouTube. But what better is that than 2 million? You know, I've got the videos out. The videos are there for people to watch. You know, like eventually I'm like, fuck, I feel like if people need more, geez, it's already been done. Like the videos are there. Like the workouts are there. I want to do something different that's really more expansive.
I wouldn't say you have no ego because I think everyone's got pride, but you really aren't driven by ego. Like that's really not a factor for you to think about. No. It's like, nah, yeah, that 5 looks pretty good to me. Nah, I can stop at 4.5. It's fine.
5 sounds great, but 5, like I want 5. I would only want 5 if I felt good, like not good, like not, you're not ever going to feel good all the time. But if you just feel like you're doing a little bit more, you feel like you're doing something and it's really ticking something off inside your own heart, which it wasn't for me.
Man, I reckon, so you're saying in such a nonchalant sort of we've had this conversation before and I sort of know why you stopped, but I reckon I can go to Josh, I can go to just some of the training, their team members, they'd be surprised to hear this. They'd be like, I don't know, people want to know why did Fraser stop?
Yeah, interesting.
So that, I think they still be thinking about like, what, really? Did something happen? So it's not that, it's just that's it. What you said is the truth. It's just, I felt like stopping.
Well, yeah, you summed it up pretty, when it summed it all like that, it sounds horrible, but...
No, but you know, summarizing that is because you didn't feel it anymore.
Yep.
In that particular art, you're like, not like this. I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah.
So much that you're doing, but just not that anymore.
Yeah, but I never thought I was to some degree like this. And I hate the way that I stopped. I think because I never thought I was gonna just stop for a long time. I thought I was gonna stop for a month or maybe a couple of weeks or something. So the way like I left my audience almost on red, like I ghosted them. I hate that happened. Right. But eventually like the snowball got so big that it's like if I come back, it's gonna be like a comeback.
I see.
It can't just be like all right guys, we're back into it. Like it's gotta be now after like 6 months or whatever, it's gotta be a comeback.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, but I'm not I don't want to come back yet.
Not like that.
I don't
way
have
anyway.
that. Yeah. Okay. I need to find my medium. I need to find something that's like.
No, gotcha. No, I think that helps. That last bit really helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it goes through a bit. You feel that abruptness as well. It's like, what just happened? And people are Googling all of this stuff.
Yeah. And so I have to like just blindside it because I'm like, I don't want to.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to feel like I let them down. But so from like the YouTube perspective, I'm like, there's workouts there. Like you can hit them. You don't need another one. Like you can hit them. But the Instagram and all the other stuff, and I understand why people would like fall off and like maybe stop unfollowing.
Gotcha. All right. No, I think that
I do feel bad, and I do want to get back to it at some point.
No, I get. So last part is it's more so that you were on this treadmill for a bit. People didn't know you were on this treadmill for a bit.
Yeah.
You were on it for like 2 years. That you're like, it's like in a bad relationship. I just want to break this up, but I wanted to do it for like 2 years, right?
Yeah.
But this is the right thing to do. I have nothing to do anyways. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do it every single day, post.
Yeah.
And lockdown finished sometime around that time. I think a few months before that, gyms were open, everything was open.
Yep.
And we were in talks of doing something here. And then I think you went on a holiday. And then you go, let's take a break. And then that just snowballed into like, what the hell? Now I can't. How do I even come back to this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't like guys, that was a nice little break. I'm back. No, it's like, it's not explainable. You can't explain it. Like you need an explanation at that point.
And you didn't want to go and make an hour video explaining this.
No, I hate that shit, man. I hate when people do that. Like, oh yeah, I've just been a bit sad. I'm like, I can't explain it because no one would really understand it, if that makes sense. Besides yourself.
I think even like this,
yeah.
I think people will I think they'd love hearing it, especially people that grew up with your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, even that thing where nothing's happened to you for 1, 2, it's like, oh, yeah, he's still there. Like he still likes this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's just now doing it in a different way. Like now he's inspiring us to do like business and do things beyond fitness.
I feel like I ticked that box. I feel like I helped enough people through the conduit of the fitness and the health.
So going on to more of the practical timeline. So 2013 is when you joined the gym, right? And you were like some skinny kid. You can put a picture up when you edit. You were like some skinny kid.
Oh yeah.
When you joined up to the gym, I remember your little.
You want to know how much I weighed?
How much did you weigh back then?
About 5'9", 5'8", 5'9", 51 kilos.
And for the American viewers, what's that in pounds? 59 kilos.
110 maybe.
110 pounds. Yeah, something like that. No, that's probably 120, 130 pounds. Yeah, probably. And you, because you were lean, you've never sort of blown out. So you were pretty lean the entire time. So how much actual muscle did you put on? Because I don't think you put on any fat.
My heaviest was like 168, 170 pounds.
170 pounds, which is about 80 kilos. Huh?
like extra pounds.
So you put on about 30 kilos of muscle.
Yeah, it's hard to like measure it entirely, but yeah, probably.
And put another photo up of you at your peak.
Yeah, and that's over like, geez, probably. So 2013 I joined the gym. So yeah, probably like 9 years.
So when you're peaking at your content, would you say that's also the peak of your fitness sort of training career?
Oh, I feel like I went through like peaks and troughs, but yeah, probably 2020, I'd say. 2020, end of 2020.
So
Like, I had nothing else to do. I was just eating really, really good, really healthy food.
So over that course of 6 years, you put on about 35 kgs of muscle.
Yeah.
That alone, it's a different podcast.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It doesn't sound like much when you like.
What are you talking about? 30 kilos of muscle?
It's a decent amount. It's a decent, but like people think I'm going to put on 20 kilos of muscle this year.
Yeah, so that's spent across 6 years. So
Yeah.
people don't realize how much little things. Oh, I hope people get so much out of this.
Yeah.
You're saying 35 kilos, but hey, 6 years though.
You just keep going. That's the thing.
If you just commit to just a little bit per week, per month, all that adds up. Okay, so 2013, and then you started bringing. I just remember you bringing a camera. I might even have old photos of you. And this is when the gym was like, I wouldn't say it was shit. It had its vibe, the character, but it was nothing compared to what it is now.
That's true.
We barely had any equipment. They were all used secondhand equipment.
Yeah, there was no murals.
No mirrors. There was, I don't even think there were any mirrors. There was like one mirror in the gym. People went to this old toilet to take photos of themselves.
Yeah.
And there was Fraser coming in with a camera, and that YouTube was still pretty new at the time. You were the, if not the only or one of the only people bringing cameras to the gym.
Yeah.
And people probably looked at you funny. But that community was small. So people eventually knew you. Oh, it's Fraser, the guy with the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You just kept filming with no results. You just kept filming and kept posting.
Yeah, I loved it though. Like I didn't give a flying F. Like no results, whatever. I'm having a great time. Like I'm just having a great time.
What was the first video you ever posted?
And people would like, I'd help some people and they'd message me.
What was the first video you ever posted?
First video I ever posted, geez, like I'd have to go back in the drive. But like
can't
the
even
first,
remember.
so I got like a little camera. It's pretty shocking. But I was just vlogging with it. Like me and my girlfriend would go to the mountain. You know,
it wasn't even gym related.
Well, I was like obsessed with the gym and like really into it. And eventually I knew I wanted to kind of transition into doing fitness stuff.
Right.
Because that's who I was kind of following at the time. It's the people I liked.
Right.
I liked like the Christian Guzmans.
Okay, back then that's when they
Matt
were.
Oguses and whatnot.
Yeah.
But also like the Casey Neistats who were just vlogging their day-to-day life. So I was just like trying to figure it out. I had no degree in filming, no studies, no nothing.
Yeah, so go back
just point
on
and
that.
shoot,
So
just get it and just figure it out.
What happened to school life? So you.
This is when I finished school.
Right.
So 18, finished school. I'm now filming. So I was filming before then, like little stuff within the gym, but never YouTube oriented. It was just like little clips here and there with my iPhone. But yeah, finish school, start working. While I'm working, saving money
to buy camera gear. Where were you working?
Buy camera gear. I was working at an electrical store.
Right.
It's a large electrical store here. So I was being like a delivery man. If that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, didn't want to go to uni. I knew that. Thought it just wasn't going to be applicable for me. I didn't want to be a doctor, an engineer, or anything like that. Saved some money, paid my PT course, which was like actually relatively expensive.
Good. Your online coach that
was
actually
like $4,000.
Your online coach that actually paid for their PT course. Well done on that. Because now these days, people, I applaud that because you respect the process and you still look. Even though I'm doing it online, I'm still going to go through formalities to just take the right thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. So that you're qualified in person as well as online.
Exactly right. Yeah. For whatever that means, man. I will say on the PT course, this is like a big, I don't know how bad it is now, but when I was doing my course, I was teaching the other people who were doing the course how to do the lifts and shit. And I was
don't like
how
the course
are you guys
itself.
going to be personal trainers?
Yes.
What the hell?
Yeah. All right. So you finish your PT course and you working part-time at the store and then you saved up for some good gear and started recording.
Then I completely flipped. So I'm really getting full bore into the gym stuff.
Right.
Like I'm 18, 19. 19, I'm not drinking. I'm eating extremely healthy food. Very uncommon thing for a 19-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to get like, from my friends in my circle a little bit, I'm starting to get like this, what the hell, bro? Like you're looking really fucking shredded and shit. You know what I mean?
All of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden. And I was like, what the hell, bro? Because I'm like a relatively reserved, I wouldn't say like insecurity is not the way to put it, but maybe like introverted. I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be like the fucking guy with all the attention on me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Similar concept to the famous thing. I don't want to go out and be reckoned.
People will take that as a shock itself, but
Yeah.
I was shocked to know that because your content communicates that you are quite outgoing.
Yeah.
All right. And then you all of a sudden got ripped.
My kind of circle was like, bro, what the hell is going on? Like, what the heck? And then I realized like, shit, maybe I like have something here. Maybe I have some sort of unfair advantage that I can help people with, if that makes sense. Because I always knew I wanted to help people. And then flipped my kind of content full bore into the YouTube fitness stuff. Like I'm just going to go hardcore on the fitness stuff. It's probably I started 2015 or 2016 this time. So around that time, I'm turning pro. I really like this thing by Chris Williamson that he said. We were at a Chris Williamson event and he said, eventually he goes, I got to turn pro like athletes do. So athletes don't just go to the game.
But there was a moment for you.
And do that. I'm like, I've got to go pro. Like I've got to commit. I'm going to go, 3 times a week. I'm posting every single day on Instagram.
Roughly?
It had to be I reckon it was like New Year's 2016.
Okay.
I reckon 2016 New Year's, I was like, I'm going pro. Like I didn't, no drinking. I didn't drink. So for a 19, 20-year-old, very uncommon. Like
when you say turning pro, not just turning pro in your content, you were full committed into fitness as well.
Yep. I've got a structure. I'm working out 6 days a week. I'm eating extremely good food. I'm not joking. Like I don't think I reckon I had a certain meal plan. I didn't vary or waver from that for like 8 months. I didn't eat anything else. Just that. Because it was cheap and affordable. It was like $40 a week. That's great. I'd go to Woolies or I'd go to Coles and I'd buy like heaps of chicken, broccoli, rice, sweet potato. Frick, I couldn't do that now, man. The prices are going up, but it was great just spending $50 a week on groceries at one point. So yeah, I turned pro and I'm dedicated to the upload schedule. I'm researching, I'm learning as well so I can better help others because I have to be a better person. So I'm reading books. I'm reading a book a week.
You started that at 16.
Yeah.
At 2016.
Yep. Yeah. I always, for some reason, I got into books when I was like really young, like 16. I bought a few books. Only really like read every now and then. But then down the line, I was like, this reading thing's fucking legit.
You enjoy
I gotta get
reading.
into it. Yeah, I think it's amazing. I think it's like a bank. It's like making bank deposits. You're only able to withdraw what you deposit, right? So if you have an empty bank, what the hell are you going to
And you recognize that when you would have been 20, in your early 20s at that point.
Yeah.
And you recognize that because you didn't go through tertiary education. This is a funny thing. A lot of people that don't go through tertiary education, they just don't like education.
Yeah.
But you actually like education. You just like finding your own education. So, but,
that's it, yeah.
But you educated yourself you've read, I think, like 100 books.
Yeah, I've easily read like over 200 now.
People will be so amazed to hear this. That's not something that you just say lightly.
200
books.
Well, that's the thing. And at that point, I realized how little people read.
You know how hard it is? I started reading during COVID and I absolutely hate reading. I'm a very, very different person here. We're very different people. I hope people can see that you can pursue your dreams in all different kind of ways. I'm so different. I'm forced to read. Like I force myself to read because it's helped me so much. I think that you should always just do something that you do not like to do because you'll benefit from that. And I started reading every day from 2020 and it's been 4 years now. I think I've only done like less than 50. Like I have to try so hard to read.
Yeah.
So you naturally enjoy.
Oh, that's a bad way to put it. Well, I'm coming from the context of reading in high school when you're forced to read books that suck. They're novels and they're always about the war or they're always about the Holocaust and shit. I'm like, I've read I don't want to read this shit. And then you have to make an analyst about it and you're like, I don't want to read. Like reading sucks now. Like every time I think about reading, I'm like.
So how did you get? No, okay, and then
eventually you read books you like and you go, fuck. What
were some of the books that got you really into that?
Books about kind of reinforcing your own belief in yourself as well. I think is like major for someone who's, not so comfortable putting themselves out there and doesn't necessarily want to be whatever. I feel like for you to go as far as you need to go, you need to really believe in yourself. And there's probably like a lot of turmoil in my own kind of mind. Like I'd always struggle to sleep. I kind of read books called like As a Man Thinketh is really good. How to Control Your Own Thoughts. Because I feel like thoughts direct your vision and thoughts direct where you want to go. And if you have a negative kind of minefield in your mind always, then you're not going to get really anywhere. So those type of books that I got into. I think one of the first books I really got into was Think and Grow Rich. If you heard of that?
Yeah, Napoleon Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, Napoleon. It's a good book. Like I don't think it's really about the idea of like manifesting wealth,
No,
but it's about your belief in yourself and how you think. Like what you think about all day long is what you become, basically.
That book was written over 100 years ago.
Stands the test of
People
time.
can learn it, like you can learn history that way. I mean, that's technically history or something that was written over a century ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, like I just think that I learned some of your thought process for the first time having this conversation. But before we sway away from the content stuff, because we're about to just get out of this content stuff, I just for the people who are looking at this that just wants to pursue content, right?
Yeah.
From what you see right now, of people trying to do this today, day and age, whether succeeding or not, you see these young people trying to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah.
Well, if you had to like just pick three things to focus on, if it was just these three things, and then after that, give me three things not to do.
I'll kind of go on. It might not be exactly what you're looking for, but
Putting you on the spot. This is
they're like mindsets.
Okay.
So number one is know that you're going to be pretty damn bad at it for probably longer than you could imagine.
Okay. Yep.
You need to be okay with starting off and nothing happening, and you looking back at your content 3 months down the line and being like, that was really bad. What was I thinking? That's going to happen. You're going to have this period of just really, really terrible. And you got to be okay with that.
And that period is, I'm guessing, long. Be prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, it depends. Like some people get better at things than others, like faster. But you got to know that when you start, be okay with it being bad. Just have fun with it and just experiment and try new things out. That's the piece of advice that I would give. Number two is, I think everyone needs to go through like that period. But if you want to kind of scapegoat it a little bit, just look at the things that are kind of being successful at the moment, and just figure out how you can either do your own versions of that. Can you do it better? Is it not being done nearly as well? It's like the gyms, right? Like when you open training day, if every gym, like someone might have gone, Wayne, why are you opening a gym? There's already a gym. And you go, well, there can be a better gym or there can be a different gym. So similar concept. If someone's like doing the fitness advice stuff, or someone's doing the fitness vlogging stuff, and you go, you know what, I don't want to do that. Like that's great. And they have like a little bit of a format, but you go, I reckon I could do it this way. I'll put my own spin on it. That's one way you could do it. You could do market research, see what's working, and just adapt it to your own personal style. I feel like everything's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy anyway. There's very, very little things that are extremely authentic online. Like it's usually a variation of something that's happened. Even movies are just copies of other movies a lot of the time. There's realistically like 3 narratives in movies. And that's just been done from the start of time. So don't be afraid to kind of look for inspiration in things and then adapt to your own style.
Figure out what works.
Basically, yeah. Do your own micro research.
People have done it before. Have a look at what's worked for other people.
That's it, yeah.
You're not special. If you do it, it will probably happen to you. Right?
I think people get caught up in being like, I can't do that. Like that's copying. But it's not. You're just seeing the playing field and you're saying, all right, these are the things that work. I reckon I can do that in a little bit of a different way. So don't be afraid of doing that. Okay. Number 3.
Yeah.
Geez, it's kind of tough. Like,
because there's so many things.
There's very little. Well, there is. There's so many things. Like I could get into the semantics of video titles.
Yeah, when I get asked these,
I
reckon just go what's like this. You know what? I also thought this was just 3 things that comes to your mind. It wouldn't be everything. He obviously can't say everything.
Yeah, and just study thumbnails and titles. I think that's the most important thing.
Like as a practical one.
Those are the most important things. In like order, the most important thing is the thumbnail, then the title, then the first 5 seconds of the video. Those are the most important things, and then the content of the video. It obviously has to be good.
That's very.
But for them to click on the video, you need them to click on the video. That's the most important thing.
That's really practical. I'll summarize it just for people. So 1, you said be prepared to be shit at it.
Yeah.
When you first do it, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're gonna be shit at it for a bit. So expect it to be bad.
Yeah.
Second thing was figure out what works. You're not special. Just look at what's worked for other people. If you do one similar to that with your own spin on it, it'll probably also be good.
Yeah.
And the third thing is, if it has to be a practical piece of advice, focus on not just the content itself, but your thumbnail, your title, and your first 5 seconds of the video.
Yeah.
Make sure give people a reason to watch your video.
Get familiar with Photoshop, Premiere Pro, or whatever editing platform you use.
Good. Okay. Give me in reverse. You don't have to do 3. I know I said 3, but it seems like it's pretty hard to come up with them. But give me at least one, something that you look at that people do that you just, or something that that you really don't think people should be doing that you see a lot of people are doing. Let's say somebody who's watching this who's 18 and goes, I'm going to follow Fraser's footsteps. I'm going to be a YouTuber as well. And they start to do it. What are those people that you're seeing that you go, oh man, look, everybody looks at this. Don't focus on this. Do this instead.
Yeah, I'd say don't go towards the negative. I think a lot of content skews negative, but it's very like you don't want that type of audience unless you do. I don't know.
I love that one.
But
because
you don't need to.
Steer away from that negative attention.
One easy way to climb the ranks is to chuck another person's name in the title, and start bad mouthing them, because then, it brings in an audience that you would have never been able to get. Just don't do that. Just try and long-term think about how you can help others or make great content, provide value in entertainment, information, or anything else in between. Number 2 is maybe don't pigeonhole yourself as well. I would just say keep your content not vague, but just allow doors to be open to other avenues.
Don't be closed-minded with
content. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't need to get like stuck in, unless you really need a niche down. Just don't niche down.
People will tell you what they like from you.
Yeah. You need to try new things. I know some people they give this advice, like when you start, you got to find your niche. Not only that, you got to find your niche within your niche. So like you're not talking about cutlery, you're talking about specific spoons from Saudi Arabia or something,
Yeah.
Like keep it a little bit vague, a little bit open, try new things. Don't be afraid to be like a one-stop shop. And eventually maybe, you'll be able to narrow down what you're doing. But I do see people kind of give that advice of just niching down too early.
So we got number 1 is don't just do the negative because it's the popular thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't try to narrow yourself too narrow don't find a niche that's too small in the beginning. Be open to try new things. Be open to listen to people for what they want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And one more.
Number 3, don't complain. Don't complain. I fucking hate this, but so many people complain about not getting the results they want, especially on social media. And they think, but my content's good. Why am I getting views? Why am I getting traction? Number 1, it's like, I'm like, how long have you been doing it for?
Yeah.
Okay. They're like 6 weeks. I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you. All right.
We've been doing it for 6 years.
Yeah. You mother effer. Nah. Do it more often. And they're posting once a week. So you got to either do it more often so you can get a bit better. But eventually, if it's been a year and nothing's really happened, you got to say all right, my content can't be good, because nothing's more accurate than the YouTube algorithm and the results. So if you want to know what the quality is, look at the results basically.
So if people don't like your stuff, look, maybe it's you. Maybe you got to do something different.
Don't complain. Don't be like, yo, I'm shadow banned, bro. Have you heard that before?
Don't make excuses.
Oh my God. The amount of people that be like, bro, I think I'm shadow banned, bro. I'm like, what the fuck is shadow banned, man?
All right. So okay. So don't steer to the negative for no reason. Don't keep your mind closed with the type of content you're going to make, and stop complaining when things don't work. Actually figure out how to make your content better for people. Yeah,
you're just wasting your time and your energy. Complaining is such waste time.
What now? So I'm getting to the last part now. I'm scrolling through because we're just having this free conversation. I'm looking through my list. I've actually asked a lot of these questions already. So let's talk about more. So we roughly wrapped up your whole life thing up until that. You gave some advice on making content for other people. So we're here now. So we obviously started this podcast. Give us an idea of, instead of me explaining it, give us an idea of why you decided to partner with Training Day in general. This was about a year ago when Scoresby first opened, and then we decided to take a step further and do a channel. So give me your spin on that. So this obviously all of a sudden you're back on YouTube. Your audience hasn't seen this yet. Once they see it, what's with this, Fraser?
Yeah. I just know at one stage someone's going to go, what the hell is that, Fraser? In these videos.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be like, yeah, nice. But for now, it's been nice.
It's popped up to people's algorithm. One of the guys, in the staff dinner, he saw it naturally on his algorithm. Really? So you might get your audience.
There we go.
What is this?
They will. I know eventually it will. It'll cross over.
Yeah. So what's the explanation to people?
So yeah, as Wayne mentioned, I started up a Training Day 2013. Yeah, approximately. 2013. So maybe a few months after it first opened. Immediately fell in love with the vibe. I've been to a few other gyms before then, and it was a completely different environment, culture, even from the beginning, and it's just grown and grown and developed in a positive direction as time has gone on. So we had discussions about 2 years ago about getting into business with one another, landed on a gym that is opened up in Melbourne. It's now been open for over a year. Everyone loves it, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
And why Training Day? Training Day, to me, has a special place in my heart because it's given me so much, and I want to be able to give back to it. I also believe that there's an amazing team and network within Training Day that's pushing it in a direction that's going to help others. With Wayne at the leadership role, being able to inspire the team in general, which is amazing. Something that a lot of people might not know comes from members already, which is awesome. Like, that's awesome. So they already believe in the vision, they believe in the story, they believe in the what we're trying to do here. So we're going to start this podcast where we started it. And we want to expand that and give people a good flavor of Training Days to people in person, try and expand that and help as many people as we can, which I'm really, really looking forward to, because that's always been my goal, to help as many people as I possibly can in any way that I can. And I feel like this is the conduit to do it. So yeah, I'm excited to see where Training Day goes, but that is effectively why Training Day. And yeah, I can't wait for the future and see what the future holds.
Me too. All right, Fraser, that's it. That's all my questions answered. And we'll look back to this in 2 years and see where he goes.
Yeah. We'll have to do another one of these. Be like, why did you start the podcast? What's the journey of the podcast?
That's right. Yeah.
Painting the wall. How do you paint the wall and stuff?
All right, that's it.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for listening. Catch you in the next one.